conflict that is ongoing between the Catholic prelates and the presidency. The presidency dismissing that the presidency are alleging that he is into partisan politics, that he is not speaking for the entire Nigerians. In fact, they mentioned that the views expressed by the Catholic bishops doesn't reflect the entire Christian community in Nigeria, but that of the Catholic community. What's your reaction to this?
Well, my own reaction is not going to be different, because now the issues raised, by the clergies when they paid a visit to the president, Onaiyekan only came back to just come and explain. This is the discussion we have with the president. What are the issues? We talks, according to them, they talks about the level of insecurity. They talks about the poverty in the lands. They talks about the frustration, the deprivation, the unemployment. Those are natural and general issues that you don't need to put to any ticket cap to understand that of a truth. There are issues in this country. For the man coming out to tell all of us that these are the discussion, I think as well the presidency not to even throw war back. What the president is supposed to be telling you, if at all they want to engage it, is to scrutinize his position and find out that what he's telling the world, was it the issue he presented before the president? If they are the same issue, I see no reason why presidency should be worried. I see no reason why presidency should be bothered. And I don't even see that kind of reaction coming from the presidency. It doesn't make sense to me, because one, these are persons, just like you have a meeting with some person, privately, and they came back to say, oh, these are the meeting we have with the president and the presidency. These are the discussions. I think that was what the man succeeded in doing, the clergyman. There was no issue that you don't need to join issue with him again on the strength of that. But for you to now use that word, it was an abuse of privilege, that also called for a serious concern. Are you now saying that the clergyman who pay a visit to the president is based on privilege? You have a president. President is supposed to reach out to professional bodies. The president is supposed to reach out to any organized body. President is supposed to reach out to the clergy. In any religion you find yourself, president is supposed. Therefore, there was not too much privilege on that. I don't see it as a privilege. But for them coming to say it's a privilege, Onaiyekan, if you know Onaiyekan in all his history, he has been there on the side of the people. He's a clergyman who have been preaching the sermon. He believed that Nigeria can be better. That has been his position. You don't expect it. I wish the Nigerian government is telling us that the Onaiyekan, when they came around, so the honorarium was approved for them. He did not mention that. I think on the strength of that, I would say I would be expecting Onaiyekan to react to that, but that have not been discussed. I think basically it's for mutual benefit.
I mean, the bone of contention here is that the presidency is not happy that His Eminence John Cardinal Onaiyekan, went to a national TV to reveal an aftermath of the meeting, the crux of the meeting, what was discussed during the meeting, with the president. That's what they are not happy with. So I want to ask, do you think that His Eminence Cardinal Onaiyekan actually crossed the line by going to national TV to discuss, issues that were discussed in a private meeting with the president, to discuss them publicly in a national TV?
He did not cross the line, as far as I'm concerned. These are issues you raised before the president. They are also representing the people. These are clergymen who have millions of people under them, who will also be bothered and worried that what kind of discussion would they go and be having with president in the bedroom or in the sitting room. The followers and those who believe it, they will also be bothered. It is better for the bishops to come out and explain themselves to Nigeria that these are the issues we presented before the presidency, not the other way around. And I see no reason why presidency should be bothered about that. If I were to be president today and I see my media spokesperson coming out to condemn that, and I will call him to order and say no. Allow him to. It's only when he's not coming, what was never discussed, what was never mentioned. You not go on air to start discussing it. It was then I will say no, it call for concern. But if really it was the issue that was tabled before the president and he's coming out to tell the world, one is to build that confidence. People believe in the bishops. people believe in the integrity of Onaiyekan. Onaiyekan have in no way have always been there. If you know him, if you know, I've been following that man since 1990. You know, even as a young boy in secondary school, I follow him. Therefore, I know what he stood for. I know what he stands for. I know what anything that Nigeria, anytime Nigeria is in crisis, is one of those few personalities who will continue to make their point known. You don't expect him to just keep quiet at that age. Had a meeting with president. It's not enough for him to come out and say, well, these are what issue we raise to the president. And the truth is that the presidency is supposed to even encourage him. Yes, tell me what will you discuss with me? Were the presidency expecting the Onaiyekan to get to presidency and start watching his, telling him you have done more than Napoleon? Did they expect them to be a bootlickers? Do you expect them to be sacrificed? Do you expect them to be hallelujah boys? You know, these are some of the issues you consider. These are men who have been there. They have seen it. They have seen many governors. Even when we have a dictatorship, people, when we have as terrible as Abacha, this is a man who was confronting Abacha on daily basis. You cannot all of a sudden you want to tell a guy him. It's not going to be practical. It's practically impossible to tell a guy that kind of personality. Therefore, reacting for they are even making the matter. Those who are reacting for presidency, I think they have mismanaged the entire process.
All right. We've been taking a look at the ongoing thread of words, war of words between the presidency and the Catholic, prelate, Catholic Cardinal John Cardinal Onaiyekan. That's what we'll be taking a look at on the program. Aftermath of the bishop's visit, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria visits to the president, where they raised concerns on various issues affecting the country. Issues regarding economy, insecurity, and most importantly, the approaching 2027 general election. The bishops expressed concerns that they fear that the 2027 general election is likely not to be free and fair. And these are the issues we've been taking a look at on the program. Aftermath of the visit, the reaction of the presidency to all of these issues, most especially criticizing His Eminence John Cardinal Onaiyekan, tagging him as a partisan, a priest who is into partisan politics. We'll quickly take a short break to bring in the publicity secretary of the NDC here in Edo State. Please don't go away. Pardon, ADC in Edo State. Please don't go away.
My country people, now VOSTV Naija be the cocoa. We dey into ogbonge news, whether na political news or political rally for your party. We stand gidigba. Not be only that one, we dey cover all kinds of events, birthday party, wedding party, burial ceremony coverage, graduation ceremony. We dey even do inter-sport event coverage wey go showcase your school to many people. Even if na to cover national sport. Also, for your church event, anniversary, crusade, or harvest, we get professionals wey sabi this work well. VOSTV, then they tested, trusted, and reliable. Una fit contact us for 82 First East Circular Road, Benin City, or make una call us for this number 080-2254-7837. Make una follow us on all our social media handle. If una dey think the best, think VOSTV Naija.
Good to know that you're still there with us on the program this morning, done on VOSTV Naija, reaching you live from Benin City, Edo State. We've been taking a look at the ongoing war of words between the presidency and the prelate of the Catholic Church in Nigeria, His Eminence John Cardinal Onaiyekan, who went on the national TV to, disclose the aftermath of a visit by the Catholic bishops of Nigeria to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where they expressed concerns on various issues they fear are not going down well with the citizens of Nigerians, economic issues, security, the 2027 general elections that is approaching. How fair will this election be? And some of these issues we had topped the discussion during the meeting with the president. All of these, the president dismissed as untrue, that he is positioning the nation in the right track. Aftermath of the visit, the Cardinal actually went to a national TV to reiterate some of all of these issues, and he disclosed that the president was not happy with the position of the bishops. So the presidency has fired back, describing him as a partisan priest who is into partisan politics. This issue we've been taking a look at on the program, and just joining us here in the studio is Comrade Oriabo. He has been here with us taking a look at this issue, and we just have the Publicity Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, in Edo State, Comrade Christopher Ojekere, is also joining us here in the studio to touch on the issue. Comrade Oriabo, just before we go to Comrade Christopher Ojekere, so I was asking, when you take a look at the response from the presidency concerning this issue, blasting the respected prelates of the Catholic Church, by virtue of being a cardinal in the Catholic Church, Cardinal Onaiyekan is not even a citizen of Rome by being a cardinal. So I want to ask you this. Do you think Onaiyekan actually crossed the line? That was what we are talking about. That was what we were talking about just before we went on a short break. Did he actually cross the line?
Yeah, the issue of cross the line don't need to even arise in the first place, because the discussion was is an issue that affects all Nigerians. It's a public discussion. You can't hide it. You have an engagement with the president. You are duty bound to come out to talk to the world that this is the kind of engagement we had with the president and the presidency. And that was what the man demonstrated. As I said, and I'll continue to, Cardinal Onaiyekan have been a man that have been there. Even when we were even fighting for democracy there, he was there. He was one of the personalities who confronted the Abacha, the dictator we had in this country. Therefore, you cannot silence that kind of man. If the president want to be if they want to get serious in the business of governance, one, don't look for hallelujah boys to come and talk to you. Don't look for the bootlickers. Look for personalities who are independent-minded, who can give you a critical analysis and presentation of the state of the nation. And that is what they have able to, they demonstrated. That you recall a former president once told us that he never knew there was no light in his community when he was a president. And rather, he never knew that once he's going to his village, they have a way of trying going there to make sure all the lights are on. He would come back to Aso Rock everywhere. They will tell you, we told you, light is everywhere. And you don't have access to his kinsmen. They will tell you, things are not working well. Until when he left power, he now found out that all they were telling him, they were all lies. They were all concocted stories, mere taradiddles. On the strength of that, the president is supposed to sanction those who issue that press statement to condemn or join issue with Onaiyekan. While the statement, I read it, was elementary, very watery. How can you wake up and call Onaiyekan a partisan politician? That he have all of us must have interest in this country. If you're in Nigeria, you must have interest. You must allow Nigeria to work. And that is the point we will continue to tell them. All of them are in politics now. Irrespective of the political party you find ourselves, we all have a duty to let them know that you belong to a political party. Make sure that your political party have a manifesto that can rescue the situation. So of a truth, there is hunger in the land.
So you are in the same position with the prelates that the president is surrounded by those who paint a picture of what the nation is actually is to him.
Of course, these are the hallelujah boys now. The bootlicker who will always tell you, oh, things are working. Things are working. Because if they don't say that to the president will not be on the same page with them. By so doing, they would also benefit. They would not benefit, enjoy largesse from the president. They keep on telling him that everything is working. By the time you are seeing independent man, they're telling you the truth. What you're supposed to do, you go back and say, no, let's have a rethink of our program. How are we managing the society? How are we managing the country? And that's why it's good. I keep on telling those who are in position of authority, take your own time. Call for people you know that are independent minded. Let them come and talk to you. Forget about your commissioners. Forget about your ministers. Forget about your aid, because they want to tell you what you want to hear. Allow people can be looking eye to eye and tell you things are not working, and they are speaking fast and figure. The position reached by the Onaiyekan when he explained, these are the figures. Well, so they talked about insecurity, and the records are there. It talks about frustration, hunger, deprivation. They talks about unemployment. You know, it talks about the physical. You can see hunger in the now that physically walking on the street. These are issues that you don't need a society to tell you. You don't need to do further consultation to know that these things they are alive in Nigeria. They are real. Is there no insecurity today? The answer is yes. Is there no hunger? The answer is yes. Why are we pretending?
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Oriabo. Let me come to you, Comrade Christopher Joker. You know, part of the issues raised by the Cardinal and the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria is the 2027 general election. I mean, they feel like the direction the country is heading towards, there's likely not to be a free and fair election. So does the ADC also share those concerns? And what evidence supports your position?
Well, you must first of all stop saying that this is an exchange between the presidency and Cardinal Onaiyekan. This is an exchange between the Conference of Catholic Bishops and, by extension, 35 million Catholics who are citizens of this country, who have sent their representative to go and bring to the attention of the president the sufferings, insecurity, electoral malfeasance, oppression of opposition, destruction of the judiciary, and all of the things we are suffering under this draconian regime that is fascist in character but democratic in paper. So it is not a contestation between an individual. Onaiyekan was just the voice that spoke on an international TV, not a national one. Now, Onaiyekan was expressing what ADC has always expressed. The very reason why we have ADC as an opposition party was because men of goodwill and patrons in this country decided that these things have reached heightened proportion and that Nigeria was now in an existential cliff. Any push would tumble us over the cliff. That was why ADC was formed in the first place. And that's why ADC is the foremost opposition party today. Now the proofs we have is that since ADC was born, we have all lost count of the number of court cases brought by proxies, sponsored by APC, to go and to the court to see if they can stop ADC from existing. It was one of the points they raised to him. And his answer was, according to the clip that we saw, that he's not responsible for that. That if the opposition decides to be weak, that's their business. The opposition is not weak, it's because the opposition is strong. That is why ridiculous, absurd court cases is daily heaped on us. Our evidence is that today, Nigeria now counts the number of generals. The insecurity has heightened to the point where you and I have remained cannon folders. Now the what do you call them, terrorists, go to the homes of generals, and generals are adopted from their homes. I read 2 last week, and then one was killed. He refused to follow them, and they killed him in front of his family in their house. The other one was adopted. We read of the one that they brought the general's dead body back with the most sophisticated weapon to a government house in the north. So insecurity is being suffered every day by every Nigerian. The Catholic bishop's visit was to give voice to what we feel and experience every day. Fuel price, as I speak to you now, petrol price, is 1,300 naira in a modest filling station. In other filling stations, it could be more. Now, fuel price by the time this government came in was about 189 naira. Now it's 1,300. Bag of rice and foodstuffs in the market are rising astronomically. These are the things the Catholic bishop brought. The president has not been able to show through his work minister one federal road that connects the states of the federation that have been completed. They are all ongoing, so to speak. The Warri, Benin, Abuja roads, Warri, Port Harcourt, Warri, Benin, Lagos road, no one is completed. Benin, Abuja road, no one is completed. These are the things that they brought. That you should do something about it. They brought it to his attention. Do something about it. It wasn't ego tripping. It wasn't ego contestation. It was a responsible presentation of facts and figures by Nigerians, by a responsible institution to the president. And let me say here that they were public issues. They were not secret issues. For the presidency to have assumed that attitude, that it was wrong to bring Nigerians' matter to Nigerians and before Nigerians, for the presidency to have admitted that issue, it suggests that the president has been running a clandestine government. Recall that in 2023, there were similar priests straight out of Shoyinka's Brother Jero's. You have read the trial of Brother Jero. Now, there were similar priests like that, of different colors, some wearing black robe, red, and so on and so forth, who visited the president and came out with a verdict that he was doing very well and that we should vote for him. So I think the president was expecting that kind of thing from responsible priests. I heard my opponent, my colleague here talking about Onaiyekan. Onaiyekan is of impeccable character. As he rightly said, he's been in the forefront. He's been a proselyte of what is just, what is truth, and what is needed for national development and progress. So it is even a very wrong thing for the president. It's inelegant for the president and a lack of imagination, incompetency for the president to have taken on Onaiyekan. There are worse off coming from it. I think it was one Tokbe who wrote a very long treatise. What he wrote to defend what the president said was longer than what the bishops read. Why do you need so many verbose words to explain what happened inside there?
All right,
so the ADC,
comrade,
as you rightly asked, have been in the forefront of this, from the political wing.
All right,
this is a religious wing. We are talking to the president. We hope he listens.
Okay, our dear esteemed viewers, we've been taking a look at the ongoing lock of horns between the presidency and His Eminence John Cardinal Onaiyekan. Was John Cardinal Onaiyekan's stance actually an abuse of clerical privilege, or simply a moral duty to lend his voice to national issues that affect millions of Nigerians? You can use the comment section to lend your voice to the topic of discourse, so we get to read your comments. Let me ask you this, Comrade Christopher Ojekiri. We've seen the reaction of the presidential candidate of your party to this issue, Atiku Abubakar, and also the response of the presidency to him. A lot of people, many critics, they've argued that oppositions are just exploiting Onaiyekan's comments, to blast the presidency and also vent their angers on the presidency. What's your reaction to
that?
This?
Would have been correct if we had not been top of our game in exposing, criticizing, and making suggestions to this president. If we just found our voice. Atiku have been very vociferous. The ADC have been very vociferous in criticizing these policies of this government and in highlighting to him suggestions. If you will recall, just I think a day or so before what happened, Okonjo Iweala was here. Okonjo Iweala is not of the ADC. She's an independent international figure, highly respected economist of the world, and came here and spoke about the credentials of Atiku Abubakar, his ability to spot talents, his patriotism to choose those who have competence to work for the country, and then the team that Atiku Abubakar set up and the results that that team produced when they were in government. That's not ADC. So the point I'm trying to make to you,
Comrade,
he said, no, we didn't just find our
I didn't
voice.
say you should. I didn't say you should read citation of Atiku Abubakar.
We have been in the forefront of highlighting this. If we just said it, then you will say we are exploiting the occasion. We are not exploiting the occasion. We are just asking the president, if you will not listen to politics, listen to religion.
Oh, he's not listening to politicians.
He's listening to neither politics nor religion.
Oh, none of them.
He's listening to neither. Because when we raise it, you say it's political opponents. Now, men of moral quotient have visited you and spoken independently. Now you want to tag partisanship on Onaiyekan. That's a terrible thing.
All right, let me ask you this, dear comrade. Do you subscribe to his position that the presidency's response to Cardinal Onaiyekan's comments reflects a broader intolerance of criticism from activists, religious leaders, and the political class? I mean, the opposition.
I mean, my position have not changed. Their reaction is politically elementary. It's out of place. Because you don't need to even react to that kind of issues. It could be an issue. I wish they are telling us that Onaiyekan never mentioned the honorarium that was given to them. That could have taken it to another level. Now, if they have anything, if there was any shenanigans that happened within there, that Onaiyekan is not telling us, this is the best time for the president to do that. But they are not doing that. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to me when you spend your energy, time, resources, telling us that Onaiyekan not supposed to make that kind of statement in the public. Where do you expect him to make it? He's a representative of the people. As a clergyman, people are looking up to him. Once he came out to talk to Nigerians who believed that he's our leader. People who believe in, many persons believe. I'm not a Catholic, but I have trust in that man. Because I told you since 90, I started following his activities.
So you think the presidency is aversive to criticisms?
It's not naturally, in this part of the world, there's nobody who will be there who want to admit any person who want to criticize. Even the ADC is talking about. If you criticize them now, if I have not been able to even criticize ADC as a political party, because I have not seen a sense of direction in there. They have not been able to tell us what they will be giving us different. Instead of them to be giving us an alternative, they want to go and hide under the issue raised by Onaiyekan. We are already aware there is hunger in the now. We are aware of the frustration. Tell us what you will be doing different. ADC is not doing that. They are only reacting. ADC is not reacting as if they are not in government. Instead of them
looking for issues.
Any opportunity you see them, that's why they are not coming with no idea, nothing new. That was why I was surprised when he was now trying to read the citation of Atiku via Okojo Ewela. I said, what kind of a society? Where's this man from? What was he telling us about Atiku? Has Atiku not been there? Atiku spent 8 years as a vice president. We were told in this country that if there is anything to be looted using presidential power, is Atiku is good in that direction. That they have not fought. Of recent, you saw the former president say it was a terrible mistake for him to have used Atiku as a running mate because of his gross inability, incompetence of the highest order, and his love for materialism. That he's only interested want to gain anything to himself. Is that the man that he will now come and hide under anything to be telling us about Atiku? Is Atiku a new face in Nigerian politics? The answer is no.
All right. So the bishops also raised concerns about the Muslim tickets. What's your position on this? The
Muslim ticket is already there. In the last election, they used the Muslim ticket. It worked for them. They have to consolidate on it, and that is what they are doing. We were not able to work against the Muslim ticket last time, and I believe that Muslim ticket is the reason why things are not working for Nigeria. One, Muslim ticket idea is not working for us. That is the reason why you are seeing the insecurity you are seeing. You are seeing the hunger. You are seeing the frustration. It's not working for us because Nigeria as a society, we're not supposed to run it like this. But I wish they were doing more better. The situation in Nigeria now, if you are doing better, I was okay, Muslim ticket is good to go. I am not a part. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Christian. I believe in African religion. And in all that have happened in this country, nobody have ever taken the interest of African religion serious. They don't take us serious. They have not even come out to say you have a role to play this in administration, in activities, government activities. Therefore, I don't really believe that religion need to be an issue. We should be talking about competency. Who can fix Nigeria for us?
All right, just before we go, Comrade Christopher Ojekere, let me ask you this. What should Nigerians expect from your party, the ADC, between now and 2027 in terms of defending electoral integrity and holding government accountable?
We start by presenting a man that no court of law or any administrative inquiry has found guilty. A man that an international figure, Okonjo Iweala, who worked in the government, has given an unsurpassable qualification of competence. We'll start with that. We present that, and we have presented that before Nigerians. Then, we are going to sensitize, as we are doing, that our people would stay on the polling units when they have cast their vote and defend that vote and escort it to collation centers and ensure that the results are announced at the polling units and at collation centers, and that we have copies of our results. We are not violent, so we are not going to use violence, but we're going to use education. Happily, ADC has become a brand that nobody can undermine, because we have presented before Nigerians a manifesto that is unsurpassable. We have given policy directions and policy principles such as you have never found before.
All right, so
as Okonjo Iweala said, the magic Atiku performed during their time, Atiku will now improve on that in 2027. So that's where we are beginning from.
Thank you very much, Comrade Oriabo, on your inputs on the program. Also, thank you, Comrade Christopher Ojekere, for joining us on the program. As the 2027 general election approaches, one thing is certain: the controversy between John Cardinal Onaiyekan and the presidency goes beyond one meeting or one exchange. It touches on fundamental questions in democracy. How much criticism is those in power willing to accept from religious leaders, activists, and even oppositions in holding them accountable? As Nigeria moves towards the 2027 general election, the conversation is likely, to disappear. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning. Do well to join us same time tomorrow for another episode.